Well, transportation leaders in Syracuse will be talking about one of the biggest challenges for downtown over the coming years. It's the future of Route 81, that elevated section. At a meeting later this afternoon, Central New Yorkers will also get a chance to hear more about the plans as they start to get narrowed down a bit. Our Brandon Roth is live near Route 81 tonight, or this morning rather. I got to keep track of what time of day it is here, Brandon. But you're out there on Route 81 right now. It's going to be an important meeting this afternoon, isn't it?
Hey, Matt, well, to be or not to be, that's the question when you talk about what to do with this elevated section of Interstate 81. This afternoon's public workshop is one of the series of workshops being put on by the State Department of Transportation and the Syracuse Metropolitan Council to get public opinion on some of the options that are on the table. Now, one thing is for sure, doing nothing is not an option, because that elevated stretch that runs right through the heart of Syracuse has reached the end of its lifespan. So something needs to be done. The big question on everyone's minds, though, is exactly what that will be. Now, right now, there are 5 master strategies on the table. Basically, one of those options being talked about by a lot of folks is tearing down that elevated section and replacing it with a boulevard-style street that would go right through Syracuse. They'd say this will help to expand some of the areas that for years have been under the shadows of Interstate 81 and help the university, for example, head out, spread out closer towards the city. Other options being talked about include rerouting traffic around the city using a connection to Interstate 481 as well. And finally, there are those that like traffic going quickly through the city, and they want to keep that elevated section and renovate it. Some say, though, actually renovating that elevated section could be by far the most expensive option. And speaking of money, that's on the minds of a lot of folks, including Syracuse Mayor Stephanie Miner, and she's saying whichever option is chosen, she's hoping that there'll be state money to help pay for it.
The city has major infrastructure needs. Onondaga County has major infrastructure needs that the state owns. So I'm very hopeful, and I believe that there will be money coming forward from the state to help us with that.
Now, cities such as San Francisco and Milwaukee have actually torn down elevated highways there with great success. The question, of course, is whether or not that can be replicated here in Syracuse. Those that would like to get some more information about those options or voice their opinion are welcome to do so at this meeting this afternoon. It's at the On Center, and it starts, Matt, from 2 till 8 this evening. Matt?
Well, Brendan, this is an exciting time, actually, because it was years ago that Van Robinson, the Common Council, started talking about this idea that 81 should be torn down because of the damage it did to the community some 50 years ago, and now they're finally taking these steps. This is a pretty exciting time as the whole public's engaged in this decision now.
It really is. It's interesting. I actually had a long talk with Van just earlier this week about that option, and he's very excited. So is the Onondaga Citizens League, for example. They think by tearing down the elevated section will help transform this part of the city. And they point to cities, for example, the Big Dig in Boston. Anyone that's ever been up there, you can see the impact that it can have on a community. But of course, there are others who say that that will just slow down traffic going through the city. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens coming up in the future. But again, something has to be done. Matt?
Thank you, Brendan Roth, live this morning.